Ray. Wrong. Okay. This progress is a part of Christian Reek Central Network. And Reek wrong. Hey, Scoop, what are you doing, man? I don't know. I'm supposed to be reading an ad. All right, hold on. Give me it. Okay. All right. This podcast is part of the Christian Geek Central Network at ChristianGeekCentral.com.
Cartoons, the animated frontier. These are the voyages of the Cellcast podcast. Its continuing mission to explore strange new cartoons, to seek out new animation styles and new creative storytelling methods, to boldly go where so few ever go again.
Welcome to another episode of the Cellcast,
the animated series.
Joining me today is a man who just wants to start a revolution, Jacob.
Why, thank you. Rock on, liberation! Why, thank you. And I'd like to introduce our host, a man who's just a regular monster. Welcome, Drew.
I wish I could think of a quote from Space Jam to bring into this. But instead, we are reviewing Thundercats 2011 Season 1, Episode 7, Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
This one was written by Todd Casey and directed by Kazuyoshi Takechi and Sean Song.
Yes. All right, so we left off that the Thundercats have discovered the Book of Omens, and it's blank. There's nothing in it. So, while the other, leading into this episode, we have all the other Thundercats are lying around. Lion-O is trying to discover how to utilize the Book of Omens, and it's only him and Snarf.
Yes.
So, he's trying to figure out, it's got to be technology. It's got to be technology. Like everything else is technology. Why can't it be technology?
If it's not magic, it must be technology. Because in the Thundercats world, the concepts of magic and technology are the exact opposite of how it works in our world.
True. And so suddenly the book comes alive, knocks Lion-O out, and then his spirit is transported into the Book of Omens. Yeah, where he meets a spirit digital Jaga.
What's remaining of Jaga?
Yeah, what's remaining
in what looks like Tron.
Yeah, it looks like Tron. And then Jaga relays the story. It's like, okay, in order to understand the book, we have to go back to the beginning of where everything began.
Mm-hmm.
It's over there. All right. So Jaga informs Lion-O that in order to discover what is contained within the book, you have to go back to the very beginning of when everything began.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the quote that Jaga says? Be like, you have to go beyond Third Earth and beyond your wildest imagination.
Yes,
and
which I swear is a quote from something, or at least is reminiscent of.
Yeah, it's reminiscent
of like a trailer. It's like beyond the third dimension and into your wildest dreams. Somethingmovie.com or whatever.
Yeah. And so then Lion-O has to take on the persona, or goes into almost like a almost like a video game.
Well, yes. Like a certain Creed.
Yeah, series.
Assassins.
Yeah.
That's been going on for entirely too long.
And so,
perhaps made by a company in Montreal.
Yeah, maybe.
Perhaps. Yeah, he pretty much has to do Assassin's Creed Thundercats.
Yeah.
Or Thundercats Creed. What is the name of Mumra's ship? Pyramid Time. I don't know. I don't know the name of Mumra's ship.
It's the Pyramid.
The Pyramid.
The Pyramid.
Now I've got to look and see if it's got a name.
Mumra's Pyramid.
Wait, that's just Mum-Ra.
Mum-Ra. Nope.
Yep, it's just Thundercat. It's Mum-Ra's ship. It's like, well,
also,
and that's not even the right ship. That's a sailing vessel.
That's the ship from the 80s show.
Okay, hang on.
Back up.
It's like Thundercats Creed.
Yeah, it looks like Thundercats Creed. So,
Keep an eye out for the hay.
Lion-O is astral projected into one of his ancestors, Leo, who apparently is the lieutenant or commander.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
He's the leader of the cats on Mum-Ra's ship, which technically makes him the leader of all the animals, too, since they're probably they're enslaved to the Thundercats.
More Mum-Ra than anything.
Well, yeah, but it very much feels like you got Mum-Ra, the cats, and then all the other animals.
Right.
Which makes sense.
It does make sense.
A lion is known as the king of the beasts.
True. So, Lion-O must discover the pass, because if he, according to Jaga, that if he fails the mission, he'll never understand, the Book of Moments will never reveal its secrets to him if he fails. Mm-hmm. And so obviously we do get another episode, so we do get, a conclusion to this, so we'll get into that. So in the very far distant past, Leo, the head of the cats, basically the lord of all the animals, or the king of the jungle, let's say that.
Yes.
He's the king of the jungle.
A weem away.
A weem away.
A weem away.
Yeah. All right, so what do you take it from here? Because I'm drawing a blank.
Lion-O in Leo is having to serve Mum-Ra and set up for this invasion. So he goes to check up on the forces and meets up with a lady named Panthra that is obviously an ancestor of Panthro. Mm-hmm. And there's very much a love thing going on there. But they're talking about which animals are going to need to go do the invasion and all that.
Right.
As they're processing them, a riot breaks out, and they are able to quell it, and they arrest the two leaders, which are the leader of the jackals and the leader of the lizards. And they take them off to solitary confinement, and while they're there, they unlock their bindings, and they have a discussion about how they're going to take over the ship.
Yes.
In essence.
Yeah, and also before that, if we harken back to the last episode, we do get a glimpse of what is transpiring in this scene, where Mum-Ra has ordered his army to attack this other.
To attack the planet that the War Stone, as Mum-Ra calls it, is on.
Yes.
And Tigra is the one leading that charge. And we do actually see him in the previous episode find the War Stone and take it to the ship, where Lion-O will steal it from him.
Yes.
And place it within the Sword of Omens, where it actually takes the shape of the full sword. And he's got the gauntlet there with it. And so he takes those to
battle Mum-Ra.
Battle to the death, essentially, with Mum-Ra. And as Lion-O and Mum-Ra are fighting...
Lion-O
and Leo.
Yeah.
As Leo and Mum-Ra are fighting, we find out that it's not just the War Stone that is a stone of power. There's 3 additional ones. And... Mum-Ra has them right this second.
Yeah, he does.
As they're fighting, eventually Leo is able to dislodge one of them and realizes, the sword, the gauntlet doesn't just hold the sword.
Yeah.
He sticks one of the stones in the gauntlet, and it transforms into this thing of cyber armor, much like the one that Mum-Ra is wearing, but lion themed instead of Lich themed, and then they battle again, and eventually Leo is able to defeat Mum-Ra and is able to get the other 2 stones. Mumra in his
Mummy form.
mummy form runs off to his inner sanctum and locks himself in his casket, and they destroy the controls so he can't get neither he can get out nor anyone else can get in and let him out, they think.
Yeah.
And the episode ends with the ship crashing into the planet, and Panthra says, "What do we do now?" Where Leo says, "Brace for impact," to which she kisses him.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, you ought to be bracing for impact.
Like a
impact
cat?
of the lips. And then Lionel wakes up knowing now what they have to do, which is find the other Power Stones.
Find the other Power Stones, unite the animals.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Because the only way to defeat Mum-Ra is for everyone to band together.
Yes.
Which means somehow he's got to get the lizards away from Mum-Ra.
Yeah.
Since they're pretty much under his thumb.
Pretty much. Or his Band-Aid thumb.
Yes. Unfortunately, knowing that the show was canceled about halfway through the planned story,
Yeah.
don't think we're going to get to see that.
No, it's a sad fact. But what did you think about the episode in general?
You know me, I am a lore nut.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the fact that we actually get a ton of lore about what's going on, what's actually going on.
Oh, yeah.
Because up until this point, it's been, this is what we think is going on. Mum-Ra obviously knows more, but he's not talking.
Right.
Jaga's not there to give them any heads up. They're just trying to figure out what they got to do.
Oh, yeah.
And now we finally get, okay, here's your lore dump. At the same time, in the middle of your lore dump, we're going to have a fun story to go along with it. It's not just going to be in some encyclopedia read to you of what happened back in the days of yore.
Yeah.
And it's not just a flashback where Jaga's telling Lion-O about what actually happened.
Yeah.
To which then you have to go, how do you know, Jaga? You haven't read the Book of Omens either, even though now your spirit is apparently trapped in it, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So
He became one with the book.
yes. A book that is neither magic nor technology because it is both.
Exactly.
It's like, that's bullcrap. But anyway, don't get me wrong. I love the concept of Magitech, but it's still like, you didn't know what the book was. So you just made stuff up.
Well, he was going off the lore and legacy he had known.
True, that's very true. It's just, at the same time, you look at it and go, okay, moving on.
Yeah.
Because honestly, it's not something you're supposed to think about too much. It's just is what it is. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I love the story. I love the so much that we're finally getting an idea as to what is actually at the core of the problem.
Yeah.
We get the idea that, okay, we now know what they have to do. They have to go find the other Power Stones and unite everybody and save the world, as we finally know. So obviously the plan of the rest of the show is, in many ways, go find the next people group, befriend them, and slowly build an army to fight Mum-Ra with.
True. What I loved was more like the references or the cameos. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, that was so amazing. So, for those who had watched the original series or watched like the 80s cartoons and the 90s cartoons, there was a little show back in the day called Silverhawks. And that was a show that was done by Frank Bass. It was kind of a Thundercats meet Hawks meet guys in metal flying in space. And you get for one, like, just like one or two frame, like a little scene here and there where Mum-Ra is like seeing all the what's going on, the battle, what have you, and you see for like in one frame or two, you get to see Monstar, the main villain from Silverhawks.
Okay.
Yeah, that big red guy with the eye patch. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was Monstar.
Okay.
All right, so then you get the
Tiger Sharks?
Tiger Sharks. You get the Tiger Sharks reference, and that's from Tiger Sharks, the TV show back in the 80s. Apparently, there's this. Apparently, Frank and Bass want to do almost like a a trinity of TV shows that were interlinked together, but that never came to fruition. Thank you. Like, what am I going to college here? So you have that. You have there's more stones, and to me, looking at it from a 2020 perspective, what that oddly reminds me of is the Infinity Stones.
Yeah. Except we don't know what the other 3 are called.
Yeah.
We know that, according to Mumra, the Eye of Thundera is the War Stone. Because there's 4 of them, and we know one is the War Stone. And we know that since Mumra, being the evil person that he is, I'm guessing the other are the Disease Stone, the Pestilence Stone, and the Death Stone.
Not even close.
I'm just guessing. I'm thinking 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Yeah, no, it's we will get there.
Get there when we get there.
Other than that, be like it's a really, like, again, like you said, you get a ton of lore and just like the origins of the Thunder, like the pseudo origin of the Thundercats, where before they landed on Third Earth, and it's brilliantly executed and just an amazing story. Just something you really want to, put your hand into and just really hold on tight. It's just really well done. Like we said, be like, there's only one episode, there's only one season,
which stinks.
Yes, and maybe by the end of it, we'll probably break down what we understand of what would have happened in season 2.
I'm surprised that, considering so many other TV shows that were canceled early, that they eventually then made comic book sequels to finish out the story, that never happened here.
Yeah, which is strange.
Because I know that's what happened with, what was it, Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Yeah. Smallville.
Isn't that what happened with any remaining after Serenity, of course? But Firefly.
Yeah, Firefly.
They had a bunch of comic book.
It's
seasons.
still going.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we never got that with Thundercats 2011. And if I had to make a guess as to why, well, comic books cost money to make, just like television shows did, and you can't guarantee. They didn't think they could guarantee enough people would buy the comic books, even in the digital age of all this stuff. Because even by then, Comixology was a thing,
right?
And it made comic books so easy to read on a tablet or a phone. But maybe they just didn't think there was enough interest.
Yeah,
which is sad. I think part of that's because that's the thing. I don't think it had to be completely the toy line not working. That had to be the problem. There must have been some ratings problems.
Yeah, it did have like rating problems early on, because after the first 2 episodes, ratings started to decline,
as they do.
Yeah, as they
always do. But sometimes you get a bounce back by the end of a season.
Yeah,
as people really get interested in it.
Yeah,
it could be. I'm guessing that as much talk as there was about how good this show was,
right?
Because it was on Cartoon Network, and Cartoon Network was very slow at switching to the streaming elements, and still their streaming sucks right now. That maybe that's why people don't want to watch something if it's hard to watch.
Right.
Not everyone's got Cartoon Network. A lot of people only do even then we're only doing streaming services.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that on a streaming service where it's easy to get to, people will ignore it.
Right.
And I think that's part of what the issue is. It was too inconvenient to watch.
And as far as I understand, they continually changed its time slot,
which makes it even harder to watch.
Exactly.
So at the same time, we also have to remember that at this time, Cartoon Network, if I remember correctly, was still had a bit of a. It was in the process of changing a lot. I think at this time we had lost we just finished the 5th season of Clone Wars, and it was not long after that Disney bought Star Wars and canceled, and Lucasfilm canceled it because Disney did not want to support another channel's thing. Mm-hmm. That's always been my assumption as to why they canceled it. And it wouldn't be until much later that we got the 6th and 7th seasons. So that was one of their biggest ratings boosts. Cartoon Network was just trying to get something that would succeed in a similar way that Clone Wars did. I could be wrong on timing here.
No.
I'll admit. And so it could be that, or maybe if Clone Wars was still going on at this time, they wanted something that would be as good as Clone Wars is. Either way, they want something as good as Clone Wars was. And just having watched both a lot of Clone Wars and this, I don't think this, as much as I like this, I don't think it's as good as Star Wars Clone Wars, and I can kind of see how this wouldn't drag somebody to a television station to watch it.
Right.
Unless you had you were a big fan of the original. Because of the serial nature of it, you miss any of these episodes, you're lost. You can't just jump in.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you can with so many other shows that run the network, and I bet you that was part of the reason, especially with that and ratings and the toy line falling through. I think it was just a series of dominoes that fell, and it just did not fail in Thundercats' favor.
Yeah.
But apparently it must have made enough money that they decided to reboot the franchise. Any idea how well that show's going?
It canceled a first season.
Of course, everyone hated it.
Yeah, it did not get renewed for a second season.
What a shame.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, join us next time when we jump into the next episode, The Duelist and the Drifter.
Mm-hmm. Get your battle on.
Come, Jacob. We must prepare for next week.
Prepare for what, Drew?
The same thing we do every week, Jacob. Record a podcast.
Oh, boy.
So where can they find you, Jacob?
They can find me on Facebook at Jacob B. Heron and Jacob's Daily Art Corner, my personal art Facebook page. On Twitter at Jacob B. Heron. On Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. And on Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. Where can they find you, Drew?
You can find me on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. You can also find my Facebook page at Drew's Photo Bin, where I upload my photography. You can also follow me on Letterboxd at GGeorge759 and Twitter at GGeorge759. Where can they find us, Jacob?
You can also visit our website, thecellcast.podbean.com, where you will find every episode we released and links to listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Stitcher. Our RSS feed, if we aren't in your favorite podcast app directory, please share, review, and subscribe to us there and share us with your friends.
You will also find a link to our Facebook group, the Double Feature Podcast Community, where we talk about both animated and live-action movies. We share this with our other podcasts, which we do with Jacob's brother Jim, at the Movie of the Week podcast, where we talk about live-action movies. You can also email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. Also, please like our page on Facebook. We try to post about upcoming movies. If you comment on that movie's post before we record, we'll read your comments in the episode. And remember, every time we say The Cellcast, that is with a single L.